Good evening, everybody, and welcome to TFC Live, episode 14, the post-bounty and update discussion. I guess we've got a fair amount to cover with bounty, and of course this week's update, which wasn't exactly a massive one. But before we even go near that, let me welcome the wonderful panel, which is looking quite small tonight. But anyway, the wonderful Ren.
Hello, Liam. Hello, everyone. Hello, Uncle Jane. Hello, Auntie John. Or is it the other way around? I don't know these days with this whole gender thing. It's so confusing.
And of course, the wonderful Rue.
G'day, everybody.
Who is in the TFC tonight, and will be hosting and presenting the slides and whatnot. Okay, guys, is there anything you want to touch on before we go into it?
Yep, I'm good.
And then Rue, if you don't mind, take it away.
Okay, so hopefully everybody can see that. So episode 14, the slide deck for tonight, we've got the Bounty 8 review. We're going to go through some shipyard shenanigans with Ren. We're going to walk through the weekly update, take a look at what Rampage discussed on Friday, and then go through some bug fixes and balance changes. Okay, so Bounty 8 review. Of course, Bounty fell over April Fool's, so I did want to just show some of the things that Kix did for April Fool's in case you missed them. First off there were some very brightly colored wake modes for ships. I don't know if did you guys see those?
I did not notice that, no.
Captains on LSD. That was awesome.
I didn't notice that, but I don't know. I don't think I put in a ton of seat time Sunday, so yeah.
I know if you had them turned off in the effects in the setting, then you didn't see them, but it was kind of cool to see. And then they also brought out the new, I'm hoping I'm not butchering this, Ursidae faction.
Panda Pete.
Panda Pete, yeah. Can't wait for this to roll out.
What I thought was amusing was that there was actually some people that thought that it was serious. And
yeah, some people were ranting on the page about that, like for real.
Yeah, so but no, it was a joke. There are not going to be any bamboo plants.
Which leads me back to my point. I think some people in the community are so funny because
just slightly.
They can get 100 coins for free and they'll come and rant about something.
Yep. Okay, so that was it for April Fool. So let's just go ahead and talk about Bounty 8. Now I'm kind of doing this a little bit backwards for this time around because this Bounty was a little bit different. Normally we talk about the prizes at the end, but the prizes this time, the amount of prizes and the cost of prizes actually made a huge difference to how much time people had to go ahead and then participate. Okay, so I'm showing that it was 120K for the top prizes. That included the new hulls as well as the 2 tactical modules if you missed them last time, as well as all of the new specials. There was also an increase of the specials and the middle stuff, I guess I'm calling it. They jumped up from 15K, it's from 10K up to 15K. So those used to be 10K. It was 5,000 more, and we had extra ones of those this time around.
Mm-hmm. Is it? Are we okay to discuss this a little now, or?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, me personally, I was pretty peed off about this, to be honest. I mean, I just felt like it was too much. You know, we needed the prices had gone from 10K to 15K, and not only that, there was more of them. You know, you needed to redeem an extra 3 things compared to last time. It was a couple of things at 10K, and I felt like it added a lot of pressure and made me enjoy the experience of bounty a lot less. Now, of course, we don't need everything. I understand that. I know that not every player needs everything, but you know, there was some key tech in there, and of course, as a player, you do want to collect it all. But yeah, I mean, I put in more seat time this bounty than I have in any bounty previously. I finished up on about 95K, so I did okay. I'm quite happy at that. But I just felt that I felt too pressured as you know, that I couldn't enjoy it. And not only that, I don't know. For me, I feel like PvP from when they first designed this style of bounty, which is it was a great improvement on the way bounty was before. Fleets didn't have so much plate armor, so ships didn't take as long to kill. You know, for some of my fleets, I had to go into a base twice to chew through a couple of the guards that were running serious heavy plate armor, and things just took way too long. And I put in more seat time than I do in a raid, or I have done in any raid for about 3 years. I mean, it was just ridiculous. I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel. I felt like it was too much of a grind. It made it stressful, and I just didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, I figured out that in order to get all of that new stuff, and I wasn't including the skins in this price or anything like that, but in order to get all of that new stuff, you had to hit every checkpoint, including the huge one at 57k on the last day.
Yeah, and that was just to get the new stuff. I mean, given many players didn't have the tactical focus, there was a lot of other stuff. I mean, heaven forbid you even thought about a skin. I mean, there was just so much stuff there. I just don't think. I think that if they would have just left the stuff at 10k, it probably would have been no problems at all. I don't know, Ren.
My approach to bounty is different than yours. I mean, I don't disagree with what you said. Like, I know people want to have everything and want to collect everything. And, you know, knowing how the game evolves, it's always good to have everything. But my reality is, like, I do bounty with a bit of a minimum effort, having fun approach. So as long as I'm having fun, I do it. And of course, that means I didn't get to checkpoint 5 on the first day because I was at work. I got to checkpoint 5 on days 2 and 3, and then on Sunday with that stupid high checkpoint, I didn't do much anyways. You know, so I usually don't get the top prize in bounty, just as I did in this time. You know, I didn't get the warden. And that's it to me. I don't really care.
Well, see,
I agree with you. With one key point you made, the guards are a lot harder to kill. So having replicas with those King's Wraith and Boulder Fists and other stuff that's really, really hard and time consuming to kill made it a lot less fun than last time. So that's why I'll strongly advocate they should make it 50% NOP. And if you get to that, you get the points and the replica explodes.
I definitely agree with that. And, you know, the fact is that points took longer to get and we needed more of them. So we were kind of double hit there. But another thing that I considered, at least I thought about, and it was actually, I seen a post of yours, Ren, where you commented on someone discussing Halos. And you quite rightly said that in the future we may see a turret. In fact, I expect to see it fairly soon. Just a guess, no information there, but we'll see a turret that deals radioactive, concussive, or corrosive damage. One of the 3 damage types that we're not seeing a lot of at the moment. And when we do, players on their base fleets will be forced to drop an MC plate to run 3 D6Us. And when that happens, EX2s will suddenly become the have-to-have turret that you need 2 Halo 2s to stack up. So my point is, and the same with the Warden, while these prizes currently don't seem the must-haves, I bet you in the space of a couple of weeks, they will be, I wish I had them, I wish I had that.
Oh, absolutely. And I had that kind of chat with Raken in the past. Mm-hmm. And he even mentioned that when he was with us last time. I think he joined us on the show. He was explaining his PvP plan. Mm-hmm. And one of the problems he mentioned that happened many times in the past is KixEye sometimes releases a technology and people look at it and like, well, why the fuck do I need that? And I don't know why I need that. I don't think I need that. And then 2 months later, 1 month later, something comes out and like, oh, I wish I had that to counter this that just came out now. Now that I don't, I'm screwed, right? Mm-hmm. And it's the same. Like some people to this day don't have lockdown rockets, and they're always begging for the lockdown rockets to be released all the time because they're old. They became key. So I think that will happen. Just like the how is people say, oh, the Howies are useless. Well, they're useless as long as people are running 3 MC1s. The moment they have to take one of those plates out, as you mentioned, to put something else, those Howies are going to hurt.
Yeah, and then straight away, the second one of those plates comes off, you're looking at a 600k critical hit on a Howie. That's what you're looking at to your ship. So I mean, we're talking about PvP sort of balance and swings, and it will, these stats like 25% boost on tier 7 penetrative, these will become absolutely crucial and will decide your builds, you know. So anyone that says, well, we don't need it all, is wrong. Because I think if you're playing PvP and you want to be competitive, then you do need.
Yeah, but I'm going to assume that Kixeye will be consistent, and that's a big risk I'm taking, and I know people are laughing right now because I just said Kixeye will be consistent with a straight face. And, you know, assume that they're going to do as they've been doing every bounty, where the same haul will come next month and it's going to be 10k a pop, right? Just like the Onslaught was like that, the King's Wraith was like that, every other top bounty prize we've had so far. At first, they come in a combo of 2 or 3 for a high price tag, and then next month they come up like 1 for 10k, and you can redeem a few. So I'm going to get the Warden next month if they are consistent, right?
Yeah.
And, so
sorry, go on.
No, that's okay. And that's a good point, because now we all know, and for those obviously that are in the same position that Ren's in and I'm in, and there's probably a lot of us, you know, just because you can't get everything today doesn't mean that you're going to miss it. They will be available again in the next bounty and later on in the raid, and they are usually at a much reduced price.
Yep, and let's put things in perspective, okay? When I track raid participation, I usually get to a number nowadays between 20-something thousand and 30-something thousand at best. People who play the game somehow. Well, I didn't have enough points to get the Warden, and I was like top 2,000, you know, or just below 2,000. So. And I think only about 200 or 300 players had enough points to get everything that was new.
Yeah, I mean, at 95k, I think last I checked, just as it ended, was 250th global at 95k.
So there you go. 95k doesn't get you everything.
No, definitely not. I had to sacrifice. I had to make choices.
So you know. It's a very exclusive game at that level, and I don't have a problem with that. I think it's kind of interesting that people who want to play real hard and spend money real hard have a difference, are able to get things that the others don't for a while. But as long as next month it's there for 10k and then I can get it, I'll be a month behind. I'm okay with that, because I'm not going to coin like that, and I'm not going to put in the seed time to grind those replicas or to hit like players who had 3, 4, 5k. I actually got a player who had 5k available on the last day, and I got another guy for 3k, but can keep up with that without spending money.
Yep. Okay. So on the other end of the spectrum, they did have prices at all price points, and again, some of these were repeated prices at a much reduced raid, a much reduced cost. You could get the Missile Storm Cruiser as well as its weapon and its special for 20k. And then if you are at the very low end of the spectrum, you could get the Boulder Fist as well as its associated accessories for 7.2k. So if we figure that 2,000 points at the lower end gets you secured into a checkpoint, that's like 3.5 checkpoints. And you could walk away with a pretty good hull that could be used for both attacking and defending.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I mean, compared to raids, bounty can be really, on the mid to lower end, really stress-free, right? I mean, you subscribe to bounty when it starts, you wait, you collect 2 checkpoints, you have 1,600 points, and I think you did a very nice post about that and videos, right, Ru? Where you explain that process. They're very good. I mean, you know, you collect the 2 grants, 1,600, then you hit 1 or 2 replicas and you get 2,000, you bank, right? You do that twice a day, you get to 2 checkpoints. So you can easily, stress-free, get 4k a day. easy, which probably lets you end with 16K.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you pushed it a little, I guess you could push it up to 20K and grab.
Yeah, well,
yeah, but 16K you get a boulder feast or two, and you get some good stuff in there.
Yeah, well, for 16K, you could get the hull and the missile and use older tech for the specials.
Oh, that's right. You could get a missile storm cruiser with the missile. You're right.
Yep. Yep. Okay, so that's the prizes. Let's go ahead and take a look at the opponent map targets. We've touched on this a little bit. First, the good stuff. Obviously, they still had multiple levels. I know people were complaining about the lack of the lower bases. I actually did not have any issues, was running into 60s and 70s all over the place. I think, yep. I think what people were falling into the trap to, especially if you're in a very busy sector, is everybody snags them as soon as they show up. And one of the things that I did talk about was to go to like the last sector in your world and then just work your way back on a line of drac bases. And we had people that were able to see and hit a lot of the lower levels.
Yeah, my other advice would be don't be intimidated by the level of the replicas, because I was surprised to see some level 80-something bases that were really hard, right? And at the same time, some level 105, 110 bases that were a walk in the park, no guard, no new turrets, crappy layout. So I just adopted, and they're worth more points on average, so I just adopted a philosophy like I would just engage all bases and see what's in.
Well, I don't know, right? See, one thing that happened to me, and I did post this in the TFC chat, is during Saturday, I think it was, or Sunday, I actually hit my own base. Like, I found a base, hit it, and it was my base, which is, you
should play the Billy Idol song, Dancing with Myself.
Well, the big question is, did you win?
It took me a couple of fleets. I had to go in twice, but what was the more interesting point on that? Is that on Friday I added a second hope finished, and I added a second hope into my base guard, and I found a target on Saturday, and it had 2 hopes in the base guard. So I don't know when these replica bases happen, but my hunch is that they happen like they're a clone as they spawn. It's a clone of your exact base at that moment. That's my opinion on it, and the reason I think that, and that's why I think we find sometimes we find the occasional like level 105 that's a little bit damaged with no guard in there, because they're actually on repair in a bubble somewhere, and their replicas just replicate what was in their base then.
Yeah, the replicas are done near real time, so
yep.
Well, it would, yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. It would have that replica that I found of myself was made after the Friday, so after the bounty had started. Yeah. Is that common knowledge, or am I just?
To me, it is, at least. I mean, I know they are done near real time. I think we knew that last bounty, I think.
Yeah, I think people were confused by the original wording because it said copies of replica bases of participants in Bounty 6. That was for the last one. And so people thought that it was going to be a copy of their base at the time of Bounty 6 because people were seeing the new X's in there. And so we've since, I think, kind of convinced everybody that these are somewhat real time and relatively quick.
The list of players they're copying from comes from the last bounty. So like this month, whoever participated Bounty 7, they were copying their bases during Bounty 8. But the copy itself is done in near real time.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's why, like on your point, Ren, why it's worth actually going in and having a look, even on like the massively high levels, because they could be damaged. They might not have a guard in, So it's always worth taking a look, because some of them could be some real easy, fast points.
Yeah, there were a lot of them. I mean, and Ren touched on this. I mean, there were some mid to low level bases that kicked my butt. It was good to see it, because that means that even the folks that are in the 80s or the low 90s are still able to compete and are still repelling, some of the much higher fleets and the newer fleets. But yeah, there was some disparity between them.
Yeah, and you're right. A lot of people were going just for the level. and hitting the 70s and 60s and 80s and whatnot, and I would find plenty of easy 100 plus bases, no guards, partially damaged, walk in the park, and they're worth
500
more.
points. Yep, 500 points.
And sometimes you'll hit. I hit like a level 128, I think, at one point, and I thought, oh, this is definitely going to pay out 500 points. And it paid out like 370 or something.
It's sad that the randomness is kind of annoying.
And then I hit like 110 that was an absolute walk in the park and got 500 out of it, which was just crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's a random.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Let's move on.
Okay.
Hello, Ru, you there?
Point. Can you hear me?
No,
sorry, we got you there. Yeah, just it was a little bit buggy there for a sec.
No, yeah, your voice went away. I'm
sorry.
We should move on.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. No, I was just saying that. So for those that are not aware or may not be aware, is these bases don't bubble, so you can take multiple fleets in there. We talked about the guards from hell, where you run into a base, walk it with a fleet, and then there's that obnoxious King's Writ that's in there. So you could do the base with your main fleet and then bring subs back in to go ahead and take out the guard.
Mm-hmm.
And, as stated, these are quick, give you quick points to be able to go ahead and secure a checkpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we talked about the good. Let's talk about the bad here for a second. You have to kill these 100%, unlike player bases. This means that you have to go ahead and clear out all the oil rigs and all of the other stuff that people decorate the outside of their base with. You also have to deal with the guard fleets. There was, stated you can take one fleet in and kill it, and then send subs in to, kill the oil rigs and stuff on an automatic. And go ahead.
I was just going to say, it goes to Liam's point, where it was a double wham, where on one hand we had to score more points if you wanted everything, a lot more points. And on the other hand, over 50% of the time hitting those replicas was cleaning up oil rigs in the corners and killing the freaking guard ships. It was way over 50% of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was
actually.
Yeah, and most guards are running obviously all the new plates, so you're getting pass-through damage, and as we all know, trying to kill an onslaught at pass-through damage is just, it's not fun, and it's not quick,
Yeah, and I like the suggestion that Ren had, where 50% in the OP, just like the current base attacks. I mean, I'm still taking the exact same amount of damage that I would be taking in a real player's base, but it's just extra time and stuff that I shouldn't have to do. And then we've got the, we talk about this every time, the locator. They've got to do something with it. Multiple times, the only bases that were in there were the ones that were in your sector. And then again, especially because this time we had to get so many points, I spent hours and hours in the situation where I had no targets. And so I spent hours and hours trying to find them on the map. And yes, you can use the leaderboard, but when 70% of the leaderboard is sporting a bubble from their prior hit, you had to physically scroll the map, which of course, dragged out your memory, and then you had to do multiple refreshes. It was a mess. So I'm hoping that there's some way that Kix can figure out to expand that locator out.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had a suggestion from somebody on the page, which I thought was really good. We finished Bounty on Monday morning. Of course, Monday morning is Ally Points Day. Monday morning, everybody is pretty much sporting their 4-hour bubble from the last hit that they got in Bounty. So maybe Kix could look at doing a mass auto repair. We've spent the money in Bounty. We've spent the time getting the points. We've done everything. Let's go ahead and just mass repair everybody who was in Bounty, their base.
And I see the point, because, if people are playing Bounty hard to the last minute, all you get if you get hits a 4-hour bubble, but your base is going to take way longer than that to repair. And then now people are out to get their alliance points, as you said, right? So it would be cool to have all bases repaired. Or maybe not. I like easy alliance points.
Yeah, I can see it both ways, but I just think that, it would be a nice thing.
Let's put it this way, Kixai. I want my base repaired after bounty, and everyone else was damaged.
That would be something, Ren, wouldn't it?
That's ideal, right?
Yeah. Okay, moving on to the keeper of the Nexus.
Can I just also, before we jump on that slide, did anyone notice this on the last day of bounty? Since you were talking about it, this is a different issue from that, but I noticed on the last 6 hours that the lag was incredibly. Like, I normally don't experience that much lag, to be quite honest.
I only noticed what you're saying, Liam, to join a battle. The lag between you hitting attack and things actually getting red and you can join, it was taking 20+ seconds.
Well, for me, in the last 4 hours, because I played it right till the last minute, I was getting an SOS Flash Crash, in the middle of a battle every, say, 5 NPC targets. And it drove me insane. And I've not had that in at least a good year and a half on BP. It's the first time I've never even had it that, like, in a raid I get lag, but I don't get that constant SOS. And I had it on my desktop and on my laptop. So it was quite strange.
I saw some people in comms complaining about that.
Anyway, sorry, so I know it's off topic, but
no, it's a valid topic, because right there towards the end, when I donated 15,000 points to somebody, there was like 6 people that had been sitting outside my base for like the last 15 minutes waiting for me to either pop or my bubble to go away. And there were people that were mad because they missed out. They all clicked it at the same time, and the guy that finally got through, it must have taken a good 7 or 8 seconds for him to just engage my base. Okay, so moving on to the Nexus, Ren was nice enough to put a video together, and I snagged some screenshots from it.
Yeah, and that video, are you on the right slide? Oh,
yeah.
There.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I just made that because it was fun. And so as we fought to steal a Nexus from another alliance, I just recorded the whole thing. And I edited to just have about 6 minutes of the whole thing. It was fun. It was good. I mean, everybody was online fighting, and we planned and organized the whole thing. I gotta say, it's good having someone like Reina as the boss, because she kind of like, okay, you group with this one, you group with that one, you go together here, and now go. And everybody has their marching orders, and it works pretty nicely.
Yeah, I heard there were some good battles in a couple of sectors. I think our world was pretty quiet. The folks that had them pretty much kept them for the whole time. I did go and steal some cookies from people though. But
yeah, I know George's not here, but I think his alliance at SDS, the guys had like 4 Nexuses in their world.
Yeah, he's actually in chat.
Yeah, I know, but he can talk, which is a blessing for everyone. No, hi George, you're listening. I forgot that.
Oh, yeah, but yeah, so there was some good battles for that. But, okay. All right, that does us for bounty, and I wanted to put this together because there were multiple questions on the page about, oh my gosh, I can't hold enough titanium to build my ship. So Ren has some really good stuff here to go through.
I do. Oh yes, you said I do. Okay. Oh yeah. So I'm gonna say what Ruth told me to say, because I'm a married guy. I'm used to that.
You do it so well.
Yeah, I know, right? It's practice. Going to be 20 years in September. So when people are complaining, because some people think it's easier to say, oh yeah, this is for coiners. And it's actually for people who want to spend 10 seconds and think, right? When you see a huge titanium cost in your Conqueror yard, just think, right? I mean, what if I do that on my normal shipyard? Just like the first screenshot there. It's just an empty missile storm cruiser, 16 hours. So if you started on the normal shipyard, you don't pay that titanium. You go to bed, you wake up, you go to work, you come back, it's done. Right? The other component that's not listed in the slide, the tactical focus module, it's another one that's very high priced in titanium. So that's another component that takes only a few hours. And I do that one in the normal shipyard because the naked hull and the tactical focus module, if you do the 2 of them on the regular shipyard, the total build there that's nearly 360,000 goes down to like about 100. And then you can do bit by bit, right? You put a few rockets. I never tied my shipyard up more than like 2 days, 2 days and a half, unless the naked hull demands that. But I put component by component, 2, 3 components, 2, 3 weapons, whatever goes in about 2 days. And unless I know I'm going to get like a whole bunch of FM tokens, then I may start something that's 4 or 5 days long. If not, it's all short and just do stuff in the normal shipyard. You know, it's 16 hours, it's 10 hours, 5 hours. It's the easier way. And then you don't need to just wind that's just for coiners. Take your time and go easy on the chores, because nobody likes the chores.
Yeah, and also for the short refits in the regular shipyard as well, and not just because of this reason, but because every now and then something will come through, either, oh my gosh, you can do this for much cheaper, or you run into situations where I need to do a quick refit, especially like during the raid. You know, if you've got a 17-day, what's the new hull? Dragon. If you've got a 17-day Inferno Dragon hull going and you need to do a quick refit for the raid, then you're either having to speed up that refit or just, you know, taking more damage in your raid fleet.
Kicks are making the titanium cost so high on the Conquest yard that I'm building almost all my Conqueror hulls in the normal shipyard. To me, that kind of doesn't that defeat the whole purpose of having a Conqueror shipyard?
Yeah, I haven't figured out what triggers it, because I was going to actually show a comparison on this, and then it kind of tripped me up, because the Onslaught, not the Onslaught, the Missile Cruiser is 160 for the hull. The Boulder Fist is like 35. You know, the Brennus is 160 for the basic hull, and some of the other ones are a lot less. And then you run into the components and the weapons. I think is it the lockdowns? The lockdowns are like incredibly expensive for titanium, but other things aren't, you know. So it's just I don't know what the trigger is, if it's weight or if it's armor or whatever, but it's just there's no rhyme or reason, and some things will cost you a 200k build, and yet the same thing's on a different.
They have a wall with a big like squares and a titanium number, and they blindfold someone and they throw a dart.
Yeah.
Well, the onslaught is 200k blank. And the Warden.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, it was just something to think about, and you know, so plan your builds accordingly. Sometimes there is a quicker way to do it, you know, especially if you've got tokens. You know, if they run the March to War again, you know, those 3-day tokens come in handy, and you can do the hull and a couple of really, you know, expensive titanium-wise components and get it out there quickly.
Has anyone noticed that the last couple of days Defender tokens have been in the shop every day?
No, I didn't. Are they? Like generic Defender tokens?
Yeah, generic.
You know, you create a problem and then you sell a solution. That's how it goes, right?
Well, I noticed that they were in today and yesterday. So, intended maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. And, you know, remember, when it comes to like defenders, you know, get those VXP tokens in the VXP weekend where you kill off the targets.
I think I have enough Defender VXP tokens to last me until this game goes bad.
Yeah. Guys, can I just say as well, was anyone disappointed with the checkpoint chests?
Oh my gosh.
I was not.
I was. You got all my good ones. I got...
in total, I remember I opened one chest and I had 3 times 1 day Conqueror build tokens. That was the best.
That was the only one I had. The only one I had. The rest.
Then I opened another one, and there was 1 day Conqueror build token, and then I opened another one. There were structure build tokens and uranium. So
shut up. Shut up.
No, see, he got all of my. Yeah, I did get a couple of Conqueror tokens, but I can't tell you how disappointing it was to reach that 16k checkpoint on the last day, and I open up my chest and it's 25,000 uranium.
Yeah, I had some of those too.
Yeah, I did pose to Kicks. I did suggest to them to, if nothing else, you know, if we have to live with chests that are not going to give us tokens, then make it titanium.
Well,
I really like that idea of yours of making them titanium. Since this is a PvP event and titanium is the PvP resource, it should be titanium, not uranium.
Well, I think that I think that titanium would be much better than uranium. Uranium was just most of my uranium went straight into the sea. You know, I did get quite a lot of Conqueror VXP tokens, which I guess was good because it's good to stack them up. But I don't know. I kind of wished that we might have seen a couple of Defender tokens in there, being that the hull was a Defender hull. You know, I'm not looking for a complete free meal. I'm not saying throw 10 at us, but maybe the chest that does rarely drop free Conqueror day build tokens, maybe it could drop 2 Conquerors and 1 Defender. You know, it would have been a nice little touch. But hey.
Yeah, no, really good points. Okay. Let's go ahead now and take a look at the update. The first thing that we have is a new campaign, and this is the Hydras Holo TLC. This gives you everything that you need to get your Siege Hydra fleet ready for the upcoming event, which is the 12th for the next raid. New campaign can be completed by Hunter, Fangtooth fleets, or Proto-Time. Oh, he's got Proto-Time Savers. It should be Proto-Tide Seeker. Sorry about that. For those that... That's actually my fault because he had Tide Seeker spelled wrong, and I guess what a correct
Proto-Time Saver.
That's the intentional fault, surely.
Well, actually, it is a time saver. If you do use hunter fleets, take one of your regular hunters out and throw that free one in, even if it's unranked. It actually does make a difference.
I sculled the one that they've given, but I've yet to use it.
I did it on the last campaign. Seriously, though, take one of your regular ones out and just throw that bad guy in there. It's actually pretty cool. Okay, here we've got the prize packs for the Hydras Holo. We've got prize pack 1 gives you the Hydra Siege Cruiser Blueprint. I can talk. As well as the Siege Capacitor CIC. Prize pack 2 gives you the special, the multiplex charge doubler, as well as the other 2 CICs. Prize pack 3 is going to give you the Blood Hydra, which of course is the flag, the optimized launcher, as well as 3 of the regular Siege Cruiser build tokens. And then prize pack 4, which is the mastery round, it can be completed twice. We'll go ahead and give 7 single day tokens for the regular Hydra Cruiser, as well as 5 of the Blood Hydra Cruiser. And then it also gives you VXP for both the regular and the Blood Hydra Cruiser. And I just put a note down here for those that have not finished their Hydras or maybe didn't refit. That gives you a total of 17 days of regular Hydra tokens and 10 days for the Blood Hydra tokens.
It's a great chance for players that are still, you know, haven't quite yet built Hydras or maybe built Bucky's first and have just sort of slowly been doing Hydras. It's great for them to be able to go out and get these tokens and get the Hydras finished, because if they go into the end this whole store raid with Hydras and Bucky's, they're gonna have a much easier time, a much more faster raid. So it's great for those that still need it, definitely.
Yep. Okay, so that was the Hydras Holo, and they're also repeating Hunter Games 3. This one runs from the 3rd through until the 11th. This one is recommending assault fleets, either the Phoenix or the Skyfire. This is, of course, for the Hunters. Prize Pack 1 gives you the Houndstooth depth charge, as well as the blueprint for the Hunter MK1. Prize Pack 2 is going to give us the PBX payload, as well as the regular Hunter build tokens, and the Wolf's Tooth depth charge. Prize pack 3 is Hunter build tokens, as well as the skirmish chest. 4 is the charged Zinthonite armor, the C1 CT, as well as Hunter build tokens and a skirmish chest. And then prize pack 4, mastery run. This one can be done 4 times. It's going to give out the C1 CT armor, as well as the skirmish chest. And then they've also included the Apex Hunter build tokens and the Apex Hunter blueprint and VXP as well. So again, just so that everybody's clear, these are not the generic skirmish token chests. These are actually paying out Hunter tokens, and it's from 1 to 4 days.
Yeah, and the folks in chat, Venom brought it up, and everybody agrees. The skirmish chests should give generic skirmish tokens, because that'll give people a chance to actually build their proto time savers, and if they want it.
I'm never going to live that one down.
that one's sticking.
Okay, but yeah, no, that is a really good point, and maybe across the board, look at, you know, if you're doing a TLC that's going to give you ship tokens, just make it generic for the whole class that the TLC is for. So siege tokens for siege, and, you know, skirmish tokens for skirmish.
Someone in chat saying charge path is running also.
So the problem with charge path was running and was supposed to still be running, but when they ran the update today, the TLC disappeared. And so people were complaining that it disappeared before time, and so Kixeye reactivated it for a few more days, I believe. That's what I think happened.
So can you do it? Can you do it again, or?
Oh yes, Hefe is saying you can do it again. And speaking of generic ship class tokens, in the end of that charged armor is 5 siege tokens.
Yep.
Okay, well, may as well stock up on them.
If you think long term,
next year's siege.
Yeah, it's a strategy game. If you think long term, you could get those tokens and just store them for next December when the next siege ship comes out for January's raid.
Yep. Yeah, I'm sitting on a bunch of skirmish ones. Thanks, Irish, for bringing that up.
And maybe that's why they don't keep releasing generic tokens, because they know people will start doing that.
Exploit the system, Ren.
No, it's not an exploit. It's a token that I earned legitimately. I can spend it wherever I want.
Beat them at their own game.
Yeah. Okay, so that was Hunter Games 3. And so moving on to this slide is Rampage Reports. I figured we throw one of these slides in for the weekly show so that we can kind of touch base on what Rampage went over for the last show. And just for the heads up on this one, there won't be a Rampage Reports for the next 2 weeks. Apparently Rampage does not want to give his vacation reports, so he'll be out of the office. There is another CM that will be stepping in to handle things while he's away. A couple things that he went over. He talked about the trap as well as some of the PvP stuff, but he also brought up the new Tier 7 assault.
I think you should pause a little bit, Ru, because people are in tears that Rampage will be away without videos for 2 weeks. Let's give them a time to mourn and grieve. Okay, now we can continue.
Okay, we're done. He talked about the new hull, the Tier 7 hull for the raid. And just to confirm for those people that thought that he was saying that it was the Magic Whore hull, it's actually the Manticore hull. There is an image on the screen, and thanks for providing that. This is the new Tier 7 assault cycle hull. Now, the way this is supposed to work, and I'm just going to read through this and then we can touch on it, is that it's one hull to complete the cycle, and you equip it based on your style. And there's 2 sets of equipment. The first one, which you can win with the hull in April, is the Lion equipment. It's a Panthera scattergun, Roaring Barrel system, and the Savage CIC. And then after the raid, there will be a TLC where you can win the Stinger missiles, Strike System 4, and the Scorpion CIC. So based on what I took from his overview was that there's kind of like the Bull in the China shop version, and then there's the scalpel version. Would you guys agree with that?
Mm-hmm. My concern, am I allowed to bring it up?
Yes.
Just are you finished on that? Yeah.
Yes.
No, my only apprehension, and I may be wrong. They're specifically saying one hull for the complete cycle. Equipped based on your style, but I cannot help but feel that we will need to build this fleet twice using both sets. And I don't know. I want to believe that I need one hull and one set, and I can do the raid with it. But I can't help but feel that there'll be certain targets that are more tailored to the Scorpion equipment. There'll be certain targets tailored to the Lion equipment, and afterwards we'll probably see a TLC that will expect us to have one or the other equipped to be able to do it. That's my concern. So while they're saying to us you only need to build one fleet, I can't help but feel that we will need to build 2 fleets.
Well, yes, it's a risk, and was brought up in the open mic as well on Saturday.
Sorry, I didn't.
No, it's okay. I mean, not everyone watches, so it's a good thing we talk about it now, especially with this beautiful artwork in there, which tells me it's a Scourge hull.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I'm saying Scourge because of you, Liam. Because I like you.
Okay.
So, you know, if you look at this cycle, siege cycle, we didn't need both. I mean, people are scoring millions and millions of points with just Buccaneers, and some people went just Hydras, and they're doing the same. So, did we really need to have both during like January, February, March? I don't think so. So I'm hoping there will be consistency, and I'm saying that for the second time in the show today. That's unbelievable. I'm hoping Kickstarter will be consistent and just make it even more a question of style. Do you want the missiles? Do you want the scatterguns? I know, unless the damage is unreasonable, I personally prefer the scattergun version, because just like driving buckies is a lot easier. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I understand the concern, and that is something that's in the back of my mind. I guess the only consolation, if you do need to build a second fleet, is that you don't have to build you can switch it over quickly if you don't like the initial version and you want to switch out. And I guess that also leads into what is the timing between getting the hull into this raid and when the TLC is. So, for example, if I get the scattergun stuff, and let's say I want to use the missile hull version. If that doesn't come out with enough time for me to put that stuff on that hull before the next raid, then I am going to have to do a refit.
Mm-hmm. But I wonder, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Hopefully we're seeing like a step in the right direction in terms of their decision making. You know, I would hope that we don't see, you know, TLCs post this raid cycle that are specifically designed to Buckies and Hydras. And you know, I hope they're kind of waking up and realizing that was always never a good path for the game direction.
Yeah, I think they're fixing that. I mean, even the skirmish was an anomaly where we absolutely needed both to do the TLCs, right? And now, but even that, last week or the week before, they started releasing now new skirmish targets, skirmish TLCs, where they say, oh, you can do with either this or that, whatever, and it's working, right? So I'm hoping the siege TLCs will be like that. You can do with either a Bucky or a Hydra, and you don't need both ever, right? And the same thing should go on for the assault TLCs.
Yeah, that's been a concern that many people have expressed. If they drop a TLC that's going to require both the Hydra and the Bucky, I can tell you that the pitchforks will ensue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I know these guys have specific elite targets that are either for one or the other, but I'm hoping now they will proactively change things for the TLCs, just like they're doing now. A bit too late for the skirmish, where they come up with targets that are neutral.
Just a quickie on that slide route. So did they, sorry, I overlooked it, but did they say that the second set is coming out in a TLC after the last raid in this cycle or the first raid in the next cycle?
It wasn't. I listened to it a couple of times. I don't think it was clear. I don't think it.
We'll be honest. You just said before we started the show that you listened to Rampage Reports 40 times.
Well, I listened to that section.
I think it's something to do with his voice, right?
Because every time I heard him call it, I was like, "Magic? What is that?" No, it wasn't really clear.
It's the Magic Core.
Yeah, wasn't really clear which raid. He just said after the raid. I don't know if it's the next raid or after the very first raid, and that's why I brought it up. If it's after this raid, maybe a little bit of time, have enough time to put the stuff on there. But if it's not until after the first, then everybody has to build it for the scatter version and then refit to the missile.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm thinking, because if people want to build the missile version, then they would probably want to know that information, because they'll want to win this in the raid, not dry hole build it and wait for the TLC if you want the missile version. Whereas if you want the scatter version, you can win it and build it straight away.
I think the smart thing to do in either circumstance, but you're right, they have a very narrow window to make it right, and the window is either they release the TLC right after the raid ends, or they release the TLC right after VXP weekend.
Yeah,
because I mean, if people are smart, they're going to build naked hulls for VXP weekend just to suicide and get some rank. Yep. So it doesn't really matter. You put speed system, you put siege battery. I think we know we'll need those guys, right? And then you wait. If it's right after, it's cool. If they wait 2 weeks after VXP weekend, too late.
Yeah, and I think they need to vocalize it. They need to communicate that. Yeah, because players, if players want the missile equipment and they build the line thinking they've got to wait a while and then it comes out straight away and they've got to refit straight away, they'll be absolutely raging. So, you know. Yeah,
there's some really valid points there, but I don't know. But I do really like the hull. You know, I said this in the Halo and some of the other stuff. The art department has really been rocking the artwork lately, and and did an excellent job on the Manticore hull as well.
What I would love to see is a way of changing the ship's appearance as well, depending on which set you're using. Whether that be the CIC does that, or whether that be a skin that comes with it. But it would be really cool to see a distinct difference between the two.
So what you're saying is that Liam wants a pink Manticore.
Definitely not. I want like a manly royal blue or something, you know.
But you know, very early in Battle Pirates, when the armor you picked actually defined part of the color of your ship. Only very old players will remember that. When you pick DU4, your floating fortresses, they got the brown
at
the bottom. And then if you pick the green armor, they got green at the bottom. I think when we pick the scattergun, it should get a greenish color, just because the corrosive charged armor is kind of green. And if you pick the missile version, it should get a red hue, kind of, you know. Would be really cool if they did that. It would be awesome.
Do you know what I was thinking about earlier? This is completely off topic, but I was thinking about the Seawolf, right? How amazing of a hull was the Seawolf? Just like the sheer look of it, the way it's looked on the map, the way, I don't know, there's never been a hull that looks as impressive as a Seawolf.
Here's an idea then. You know how they kind of did the Onslaught being a new lecture on the new version of the DNX and the Missile Storm Cruisers, a new MCX? They should do something like that. Maybe
definitely
instead of the Seawolf, they release a Direwolf.
Maybe for the next skirmish.
Bring back fleet versus fleet on the map. Bring back Seawolves, man, and with different CICs, and everyone can just go on FEF.
But FEF has to repair real fast. I mean, those ships have to be repairable in very short time period.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought about it, but I remember the old days. Just going around with Seawolves and absolutely just destroying fleets, man. It was so much fun. The FEF on the map was so much fun. And I know we have like megas and stuff, but I don't really think that there's much of an enjoyable experience like the way we used to FEF back in the early couple of years, you know? I don't know.
Yeah. And, you know, something else that was brought up on Saturday's discussion was charged armor. We just recently saw the very first mix. Are we going to see this again for the next one? Yeah, because this is our first repeat, right, for regular charged armor?
Yeah, I mean, if they were to release, like, what did they do before? A mix was the CR, right, for Siege. So now, naturally, they should do a COM, mixed charged armor, I believe.
I kind of feel like charged armor's been... The fact that they've thrown so much of it at us, that makes me really think that its value is much less, or will be much less moving forward. And I almost feel like resistance will be far more beneficial.
I was going to say, I mean, having to win charged armors raid after raid after raid at 10 million a pop, 8 million a pop was a massive, boring, stupid grind. So if they find an elegant way of making them less important or irrelevant, and we can just do it stuff that's not limited and not so costly, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I mean, we have so much charged armors now. Well, at least I know not everyone does, but I certainly have a lot more charged armors than I had before. I have enough charge armors to build fleets for the next few raids, you know. So, and I just don't feel that that's something Kickstarter is going to let us get away with. I feel like they've got something else in the works that will. I don't know. It's just maybe I'm always looking to the negative.
Because either they're going to do something elegant, like you said, and get rid in a way of charged armor, or make it a lot less important, and a lot more available, or they'll double down and have a C2 CO, C2 M charged armors coming out now. Right?
See that,
that's going to be the first cycle. This Garrison is not a raid cycle anymore. That's going to be the first cycle where the one before already had charged armor. So either they escalate, or they do away with that idea and pursue something else to make it interesting.
Well, if you look at sort of some of the targets that we're hitting just now, even in this current raid cycle, I mean, if you look at how fast your charged armor's gone, but you can still carry on and do the target with your resistances. You know,
it's pretty much the resistance is what matters in there.
It's starting to become that, yeah, and that's why I kind of feel that that's where we're going.
My only concern is, you know, like the one huge benefit of charged armor is that it doesn't add repair time.
Yes.
But then they kind of compensated for that, making the ships take a long time to repair.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's something that needs to be taken into account if they are going away from the charged armor. Then
if they go away from charged armor, but bring back armor that adds 30 minutes repair a piece, I'm going to hate that.
Yeah, because you can't just slap in the new, you know, XYZ armor that's 30 minutes, and so now you've got the long ship repair plus the new armor repair.
Yep.
Well, one thing I'm sure of, there is no way on God's green earth that Kickstarter are going to let us go into the next raid with armors already in our inventory that we need. I can guarantee that is not going to be a thing.
I hope it is a thing. I hope you're wrong.
Yeah. I hope I'm wrong. I genuinely hope I'm wrong. But I seriously do not expect us to be able to just shove charged armors off of our inventory onto our ships and be good to go for the raid. I really don't.
Yeah, maybe. So maybe
for the longest time, for many years, it was actually like that. We could actually use the good old D1M, D1C, D1X, and 2 and 3 and 4 version of them, and just use them over and over and over.
Yep.
Right?
What if they make the dual, which gives resistances and deflection, and charged, and they make that a limited, the next one?
Well, I like the mixed one. That's why I like the C1 CR. It's the armor pool is a lot less important. The resistance is there, the deflection is there, you know, and you don't need to go around all that mental process. Oh, do I need 3 CTs and 1 X, or 2 CTs and 2 X, or 3 of these and 1 of that? You just slap all the mixed charged armor, all 4 of them, and off you go.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. I think we have one more slide. We do bug fixes and balance changes. Liam, you want to take this one?
Yeah, no problem. Okay, bug fixes and balance changes. Fixed an issue where the penetrative overlay had the wrong stat associated with it. We were talking about this last week. It showed an explosive buff instead of a penetrative buff. So yeah, we kind of knew it was a typo, and it was fixed, thankfully. Fixed an issue where some users were unable to activate the Abyssal Invasion campaign. Has any of you guys had an issue with that?
Nope.
No, I don't think. I think I did.
No, it didn't affect everybody, but it did affect a lot.
Okay.
Just the hackers.
Fixed an issue where walls were not appearing in the build model. Definitely did not notice that.
Yeah, I was so heartbroken about that.
Just the hackers.
Fixed an issue where some users were unable to unequip solar reinforcements. Just definitely didn't notice that.
Just affected hackers.
Just affected hackers, yeah. Guys, actually, while you're on the subject of hackers, a couple of bases I hit in Bounty, the NPC bases had the supercharged Howies. Did anyone else notice that? I just thought while you were shouting at hackers, that sprung into my head. But
I've heard reports that we know they fixed the duplicate aura cap for fire support 1 and 2. I've heard reports, and somebody said they were going to get a video, but I don't know when the video was taken.
Well, I hit a base in an NPC base, and it's how he took down my onslaught in 2 shots, two or 3 shots. And there's no way it had the whole stacking, stacking of a fire support 1 and 2, because there wasn't enough stuff in the middle island to do it. There was nowhere near.
I was chatting with a player this morning, and I'm not going to mention names to protect the innocent. They were running some tests on Howies and versus MSCs and whatnot. Venom's confirming that they are still testing. I think Venom's involved in that, maybe. And there are some odd behavior. No, there are some odd behaviors. Things that you look at like, okay, that shouldn't behave like that, and still it is.
Some odd variables that are happening that seem to be taking. Just
like I recorded a hit on my base today, and someone else posted that on TFC, and I had shared with Kickseye. And then today I saw a hit on my base. The guy 100%ed my base, and there were no sloths, no mortars. It was 3 missile cruisers and 2 onslaughts with rockets. And my elite countermeasure turrets were just looking at the missiles and doing fuck all. Like they were not shooting at the missiles. And it's funny, as they were in channel, they were not. Towards the end of the battle, when the guy is already just firing at the OP center island, the last elite CM turret, when there was only 1 and was the last turret to die, that one was shooting down the missiles. Just that one at the end of the battle.
Well, I've been sent. I was actually, while you're on the subject of that, I was sent a video today by a player, and he was testing the Night Watch countermeasure. It's a Night Watch, isn't it? And he was also testing the Elite countermeasure, both versus the MSC, and it didn't fire at any of it. So an Omni with a Night Watch didn't fire in MSC's missiles. A Warden, which I tested with a Night Watch, doesn't fire in MSC missiles. And from what I can see in every example video that's been sent to me, the Elite countermeasure doesn't either. So there's definitely a bug, and it definitely does seem to be related to that specific siege missile.
Yeah, I mean, somebody at Kickside needs to look at the whole countermeasure. We're talking here, and there's a bunch of people in chat reporting all sorts of weird behaviors when you mix Gales and Night Watch, and or when you put Night Watches on Omnis, which, by the way, I'm doing right now. I'm refeeding my Omni with 2 Night Watches to see how that goes. Well, it's all messed up.
Well, I tested. I built a Warden and ranked it on Monday, and I put 4 Night Watches on it with as many counter specials as I could fit. And I actually took it down. I think I took it down to Ford, and we tested it against. I think it was a bus and 2 sloths. It barely fired anything down at all. It was almost unnoticeable how bad it performed. I was heavily disappointed with the Night Watch, and so much so the actual. Do you know I had two disruptor missiles and 4 Night Watches on the Warden, and the disruptor missiles killed his sloths because they got the special that dropped his deflection down, and then 1 missile killed him. And that's like the low damage that they have on them was unreal. So I thought, do you know what? This isn't a countermeasure ship. I'm filling this up with missiles, because it's the worst countermeasure ship I've ever seen in my life. Either that or the Night Watch is the worst.
And now I'm being told here on chat that, hey, if you have the Omni with Gales, don't add the Night Watches or the Gales are going to stop working. I mean, I'm just adding 2. I'm already in the process of refitting the ship, and it screwed up. They gotta fix that. They should have tested. Of course, people were going to mix one with the other. I cannot believe they only tested the one scenario with all Night Watches on the Warden. Of course, people are going to mix up, and the bases have mixed up stuff, and it has to work.
Well, I was led to believe, at least it was portrayed to me that the Warden and the Night Watch would be the end, or at least a very serious competitive counter to sloths and to the style of attack on your base.
And you're saying it sucks, and there's people in chat saying it's OP. Venom saying it's OP. It's making, I don't know what now. what's going on. I think it's maybe a bit too early, but absolutely the problem is maybe it's set up. I don't know, but
I've tried it
when you mix it up with Gales.
I tried it 2 different ways. I tried it with CM loaders, the countermeasure loaders 4 with the subaquatic propellant, which gives you 50% countermeasure reload plus projectile speed. I tried that pairing, and then I tried, what else did I try? I tried the new countermeasure special from the Bounty with the countermeasure turret defense special. And so I've tried a couple of different setups. I've tried a couple of different methods with it, and it left me with a decision to say it's not worth it, and it's not a very good countermeasure ship. I hope Kixeye do take a look at this counter, because I generally feel that something's wrong.
Yeah, definitely something is wrong.
But hey, maybe if other people have another experience with it, then great. I hope to see some information about it, because I personally have really been disappointed with it.
Yeah, it's clearly half baked or half tested.
Yep. Okay, well, that was all I had for slides. Did anybody have anything else they wanted to go over?
No, I'm okay. I think I've covered.
I think we should discuss Bounty.
Well, why don't we rate Bounty? I mean, me personally, I think that last month's Bounty was fantastic. This month's Bounty.
Okay, shut up.
Why don't we talk?
No, for real, real question.
Okay.
So, April's raid is going to be a tech store. It's going to be 6-7 days long. I think it's 6 days, right? 6 days long or 7. Oh, geez, whatever. It's going to be long, and it's a tech store. What do you want to see in that store that hasn't been released in a while?
Do you know
Half of wants Magic Horse.
I want to see,
and I think Magic Horse will be there for twice the price.
I want to see a Phantom Gluttony, because I don't have one, so I'd like to see that.
I have 2. I'll rate you one.
Yeah, I missed it when that come out. Was during a period where I was crazy.
Okay, so let's agree from now on, only people with 2 Phantom Gluttonies can talk.
That's a really good point, and maybe we could pop something up on the page to see what people are.
Nah, then we're gonna get 240 comments about the same thing. I'm kidding.
No,
Go ahead.
Comments off, but you brought up something that is really good, and people do need to start thinking about, especially now. We are a week and a bit away from the next raid, and it is the long raid. And yes, we do have expeditions, but save your daily chests so that you're not running out of stuff during the raid.
Yeah, especially uranium.
Yep.
I think another weapon they should make available is switchblades. I mean, we all remember how OP that was. So.
I know you were a big fan of switchblades.
Switchblades for the win.
Yeah.
Man. Maybe
you and Price, you guys love switchblades.
MSC switchblades.
Yeah, Tridents is something we haven't seen for a long time. And yes, there is the new Sprint, but Tridents have their place.
Tridents are so much lighter.
Yeah.
I want the buzzard missile. Every time I ask for the buzzard missile, they don't re-offer that damn thing.
I don't have the buzzard missile either, actually. Yeah, I would like to see that.
It's nice. It's like a torrent, but better, and with a speed bonus. So in some cases, I'd be using a buzzard.
Yeah, it could potentially be good considering pass through.
Yeah, it's interesting. You've talked at the buzzard and some of the other discussions that are having, how people are using some of the older tech and going back to some of the older tech over the new on builds.
Do you know, I was doing that. I was actually looking through weapons today and going back and looking at older weapons, and I'm no longer looking at damage. I'm looking at how many damage types it does, how many salvos per second.
That's all that matters right now, Leon. You're damn right. Yep. It's range, reload, salvos, and how many damage types. And you gotta still look at the damage, because the damage per projectile still has to be over 360. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
There's a siege missile that has radioactive and missile damage. An older one that has a shorter reload, which would wipe guards much faster than the new siege missile. I was looking at that earlier. Same with rockets. There's some rockets that have better salvo rates. There's all sorts. I mean, you could probably put Ripper cannons on something. You know what I mean? Instead, you could. You probably
Ripper once.
You could put Ripper. You could probably put Ripper freeze on a ship, right? Give it enough ballistic damage buff that it would take each salvo over 350, and you would probably wipe a guard much faster. Well, then again, you know, a chain gun has like 6 damage types. So you're getting 350 times 6 every salvo.
Yeah, nothing beats the Chaos Chain Gun. And by the way, I'd love to see that on the tech store in Raid.
And tech store, speaking of tech store, tech up stuff. We've not had a repeat of tech up for a long time. There are people that are missing stuff. They did introduce some of it into the TLCs that they've been running, the Bucky one, the Charged Path, you know, that kind of stuff. But there are still people out there missing stuff.
Yeah, I don't think, for instance, they re-offered the Magnus System 3.
Nope, that hasn't been out. The battery stuff, Nautilus 4. There's a couple things, so it would be nice to see some of those in there.
There's a ton of those tech up stuff I don't have because I missed that TLC. I missed a couple of those TLCs, so I would love to see some of the tech up stuff in there. I really would.
Yeah. And now the last piece that I think we also discussed in open mic, so I'm just going to leave this here. They really should take a look at the way they display the stats, because it's flat out misleading players, right? For instance, when you have a bunch of fire support around the turret, and it just adds up the numbers. But then we learned that they don't just add up, they are multiplicative. So what you get is a lot more than what you see. They should fix that kind of crap, and they should fix the total damage displayed, because players really shouldn't have the burden of doing all that kind of calculation.
I know. And for a game that was meant to get more simpler.
Yes, I want more simpler.
It feels like it's anything but currently. You know, when you're calculating pass-through over deflection, over bypass, and fucking...
Yeah, the whole pass-through is kind of smart. I mean, because, you know, you have some things like the turrets killing over the deflection, and then some things killing under the deflection. It's kind of a cool concept.
But at the moment, everything currently, just no matter what you calculate, you just end up saying, right, that does 350. Right, that does 350. Right, that does...
Yeah, but, you know, I think... It's interesting, but they should, when they release something like that, that's a new concept, like, oh, let's kill with pass-through, they should explain it to players somehow, you know, without wordy 3-page long posts on forums. Like, do a video, like I did.
Yeah, well, Ren, I haven't actually had a chance to watch your pass-through video, but for anyone watching that is interested in pass-through or hasn't yet kind of grasped some of the concepts, Ren does have a video on pass-through. And we'll link it in the description of this show for anyone who wants to go and watch it. It's worth a watch, even if you feel you've got a good understanding of the pass-through. Worth a watch, and at least you might find something in there that you weren't too sure about. And for those that are unsure about it, definitely go and watch it. Yeah,
and not just for the pass-through. Ren actually takes the time towards the end of the video and gives you some tips for couple of boulder fists for guard fleets. So if you are now sporting a brand new boulder fist from the bounty, it's worth taking a look at that video just for that information in itself.
So what Rube's saying is just skip the whole crap and just go to the end.
That's not what I said.
Skip it all. Now you want to go to skip it all and go to the end. Get the boulder. I was
saying, for the people that already understand pass-through, there is still value in watching the video.
Oh, how nice of you.
Okay, well, I think that pretty much ends it for now. Unless anybody has anything else?
No. Well, let's talk about bounty.
Okay, you realize that I am logged in as TFC and I can boot you for that.
Okay.
Well, big thank you to everybody that joined the panel tonight.
1 second. Venom is, you've seen it brought him up.
No. Don't make eye contact.
He's talking about a damage calculator, turret damage
for the 15th time. I mean, he's spamming chat with that damage. I don't know what he's talking about.
It's a calculator similar to the turret equipper, where it's actually pretty good. It's a calculator where you can.
No, he created a calculator. Yeah, it's really nice.
Yes, no, it's pretty good, and we are working on it. We will get it looked at and get it up on the website as soon as we can. But just give us a little bit of time, Venom. But thank you to everybody that joined us in chat. Appreciate you giving us information and sharing the time with us. And I guess next show will be Saturday.
Yep, Saturday it will be.
And George, get well, buddy. Get well,
George.
soon.
Yes.
George, stop driving cars like you drive your fleets. God damn it! You know, to be more
You
careful.
should drive your cars the way Liam drives his subs. Then you'll be safe.
Yeah, no, get well soon, George. Get well soon. Well, I guess that's it then, guys. We've covered it all. It's been a great show. I was worried that we were going to run short, but we've ran long. So, but it's been a great chat and a great show. And thanks, Ren and Rue. Thanks, everyone, for coming out. And we'll see you Saturday. And that's it. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.